Well, hello, boys and girls out there in YouTube land. This is Clay of Clay's Chevys, and today is President's Day, so the post office is closed, which means I get a day off. And one of the things I've been doing in the last month or so was I went a little crazy with these Walking Dead little vignettes that they put out. And you can see I got a bunch of them put together. They're really neat. I really enjoyed them. Really quick builds. So a couple of them I still got on my table because I sort of needed to switch gears like most ADD model builders. I still have Daryl in his chopper. I still got the tower and the gate. And last but not least, the mother of them all, Dale's RV. So, don't know when I'll get to them. I'll get to them one of these months, but like everything else. So, that's the update I got going on in February, and let me show you some of the other kits that I got on my table. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. I don't remember if I showed you guys these kits. I got these in a trade with James Morris, real good guy. He wanted some cars, and he had some tanks and stuff he was getting rid of, so I got these. These are two really old kits. They must have been in his stash a long time. I remember these when I was a kid. So I got them from him, and even though I haven't painted them yet, I did put them together. So now I'm waiting to paint them, and as you can see, as soon as I zoom in a little bit, that they're all put together. Now, this one here, the M5, if you notice there's white plastic here, is because I couldn't get the upper and the bottom hole together. So I cut off the green parts that were there, part of the fender extensions. And then I realized that the tow hooks down in here were up too high. So once I removed those and pushed them down, then the upper and lower holes fit together, so I added back with white plastic the fender skirts or whatever they're called, those corners, the brackets. As usual, to me it makes really nice kits. They go together really good. There's not a lot of space, gaps and stuff you have to take care of. Some of these things are really little fiddly parts. Now I'm going to bring up another tank, or actually a armored personnel carrier, I guess you'd call it. And so hold on, I'll be right back. So this one a friend gave me. I don't know where he got it from, but somebody had already started, had a bulk of it put together already. And it's a Martyr. It's one of the well, I guess one of the more modern German armored personnel carriers that Germany has. This was actually made in, I think, like the late 60s it came out or somewhere like that, and it served up until almost the end of the 80s. Our Bradley fighting vehicle is kind of designed after this, similar makeup and everything else. This one also has a Milan anti-tank weapon system on it. So it was partially built. I completed it, and that's what it looks like. Okay, let me try to zoom up a little bit in it. Try to keep it in the camera while I'm doing it. So it's a pretty nice little armored personnel carrier. As you can see, it has the vision blocks for the troops in the back, has firing ports here, on both sides. Here's the Milan anti-tank system, and this Milan system also has a tripod on it, so it could be removed and mounted somewhere else, and you carry it like a normal soldier would. It also has its machine gun, for a better term of it. The engine compartment was opening up. Once I started gluing things together, I hope it still does. Okay, I probably won't be able to get it open. Let me see if I can do it without destroying it. There we go. So, as you can see, there's some like white residue in here. The guy must have used some CA glue and the accelerant on it, because it's all over the place. So whoever started to put this together. So once I paint it, hopefully it'll disappear. I sanded a lot of it smooth, so it's starting to look a lot better. Now, the thing I always thought was neat was, this is 1/35th scale, and so are these. So look at the size difference. World War II, Cold War, fighting with the Russians. Unbelievable. Both 1/35th scale. Now, I'll be right back because I clear the stage and bring out something else. So as you know, well, I'm back. And as you know, one of my goals this year was try to finish a lot of the kits that I started last year. Because either I was busy with work, lost energy, or I lost my energy, lost my mojo, or just lost interest. So I'm trying real hard to get some of these done. This kit looks familiar. I was building this kit with Classic Plastic 101. Chris Cortel and I were starting to build this together. There's a lot of issues with this kit. I see that Dirk Pitt is starting to build this kit. So Dirk, if you can, look at Chris's video. Chris and I and Costas Viper, we had a discussion about the tanks and what they look like. I remember from the old days, especially when I was a kid in the early 60s, when my dad was stationed in Germany, and we got to climb all over these things. And so we were talking about the colors and textures and how bright they are and everything else. So here's my turret. It's already attached. See if I can zoom a little bit on this. The turret part's not too bad. But as you can see, the plastic is really smooth. And I might be wrong, but I know the turrets on these tanks were very, very rough. And I don't know if it was from the casting, you know, these are cast turrets, or it's just because of the multiple coats of paint. And they were a dark color like this. Actually, the camera shows it a lot darker than it is in person. But they were like a dark olive drab, and they were very shiny. So we had a discussion, Costas and I, and I was telling them about how we had our tanks look like parade tanks in those days. They were very shiny, very glossy. You know, you'd use the glossiest paint you could find. You'd also use brake fluid to shine up the road wheels, stuff like all crazy things. And then the Cold War really started going 240, and we went to everything with Carc paint, which is the chemical and there's some kind of chemical and biological resistant paint, and it was really faded. So you remember the old Chevy Blazers we had with the three-tone, the tricolor camouflage, like, you know, like it's on this Martyr, right? And they became very dull and flat, and that was to stop IR and other sighting systems from picking up the vehicles. But in this days, they were very shiny tanks. We didn't have all that stuff. The worst thing about this kit, Dirk, and I don't know if Chris will, you can text Chris, but this hull, it's in like, let's see, how many pieces? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 pieces that go together. And this mold is really crappy, and they don't fit together. So you got gaps and you got seams and everything. So using a lot of Bondo body filler. I think I got them all filled up. They're nice and smooth now. It looks like crap, but once I paint it, hopefully you won't see it. I also use this old trick where you take sprue, cut it up, put it in liquid cement, and use that as a filler too. And I've done that in the interior because there's actually some huge gaps in here. You know, you got the two halves together, but they don't sit together. So beware of that, Dirk. So one of the things I'm going to do on this kit is, because I believe this part, the lower hull, is cast, like the turret. So it has a rough texture to it. I remember the nose of these being very rough. So what I'm going to do is take some of that Mr. Hobby or the Tamiya surfacer, and I'm going to paint it on there, and I'm going to use a stipple brush and stipple on it so it'll give me that texture, because they weren't very smooth. Hopefully that'll take care of it. So Dirk, you're forewarned. Take a look at Chris's video. One of the things we need to put on here, and I think Chris put on his, they got some kind of filler in this on this turret here, and there actually should be a grab rail on both sides. See, the box art doesn't show it either, but it should be a grab rail there. That's how you climb on the tank. So I don't know why it's not on here. I don't think they have any pictures of the actual tank either, but I believe Chris put his grab bars on, so I'll be doing the same thing. Alright, so that's my update for February, what I got going on. I'm actually doing pretty good. Oh, one more thing, I almost forgot. And one last thing, Dirk, I almost forgot. This is the gun out of the M48. Now, on the gun, as it's molded, you will find it's plugged right here. And on the real tank, there's no way it could be plugged because it wouldn't fire. So you basically have to drill that plug out, you know. And what I did was I cut it off flush first and then started off with a drill. That plug sticks out, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or so, maybe 1/8 of an inch. Sticks out kind of far. So you got to cut it off and drill it out, because that's the way the gun should look. Alright? So, just a tip there, Dirk. Can't wait to see the rest of your videos. Bye. One of the things I got too from a friend of mine in our modeling club, he's moving. So he was getting rid of a bunch of kits. This is a Roland, a World War I plane. And I've never seen a plane with windows and curtains in it. But this one does. I don't know why. And I don't know if that's supposed to be curtains. I have no idea. But it's a two-man crew. Don't know if that's just a design or what. I got to research that some more. It's just weird looking. He had both sides of this were already glued together with the, I can't find it, this top part for this cockpit already glued in. So as you can see, there was nothing painted. It was still all raw plastic. And he's an armor builder, really good armor builder, really good at weathering and detail. The thing is that I guess he was trying to build this plane like he builds a tank and put it all together, then paint the details. The problem is you can't get into the cockpit and do the gauges and everything else when it's all glued together. So, I don't know, I forgot who I was discussing it to. One of the guys on YouTube, I was talking to him about, he rebuilds, he buys a lot of these glue bombs and stuff, and he rebuilds all these kits. He takes them apart and rebuilds them. And I was asking him, how's he do it? Did he soak them in brake fluid, put them in the freezer, whatnot? And he basically says use brute force, but know when to use brute force, and opens it up, taking his time, taking it apart, And that's what I did. I slowly cracked this open without breaking any of the plastic. And as you can see, I started painting the interior. So, and the instruction sheets called for Mr. Colors, and it's supposed to be, it's a red brown, but it looked like purple, and I don't have anything like that, and I don't know what to do with it, so I just painted a kind of a wood color. And then you got to paint, this is actually the gas tank here, the pot set on the gas tank. So he's missing a lot of parts too, he didn't finish putting in here. So it's a good thing I took it apart and I got the little parts. There's supposed to be a filler neck right here on the gas tank, and I'll put that on. There's no yoke here, and I have that, and I'm going to put that on. And there's a couple of support beams and stuff that's supposed to go on, so I'll be doing that. I guess he gave up. You know, planes not his thing. You know, I just like building. So this one was going to take a while because I'm going to have to paint as you go. So just like a car model, that's why I never seem to finish cars. You know, they're not like tanks. Tanks, you put them all together, then you paint and weather, unless you got a real detailed interior. Most of these tanks don't have any interior. So that'll wrap up what I've got on my bench in February. Hopefully I'll get some done. I'll be leaving next week. I'm going to go spend 2 weeks at home. We're going to Hawaii, my wife and I. It's her birthday, so she wanted to go home, spend some time with her family. I said, all right, let's go. We hadn't been home in a while. So we're going to be gone, so I'll be gone for about 2 weeks, and when I get back, hopefully I'll be able to start building some models. I also, Styrene Junkie was saying that he was working up here in my area. So he's from down in Oregon. I live up here in Washington State. So I called him last night, and we're going to try to hook up, have dinner and maybe a beer together tonight, and shoot some BS, you know, and talk about models and stuff. And hopefully I'll post a picture of us having a good time. We'll see. So Ron's a real good guy. It'll be good to meet him in person instead of just talking on Facebook or YouTube or whatever we do. So that's all I got, guys and gals, and we'll see you around in the tube. Bye.